Ever thought about starting your own podcast? Imagined yourself behind that mic, sharing your thoughts and ideas with the world? You're not alone. Podcasts have exploded in popularity over the past few years, with millions of listeners tuning in daily to hear their favorite creators talk about everything from cooking to politics. This surge in popularity has opened up a world of opportunities. Whether you're looking to connect with like-minded individuals, share your expertise, or even monetize your content, there's never been a better time to get started. But here's the catch. In this sea of voices, how do you make sure yours is heard? The answer lies in building a strong podcast brand. A brand that resonates with your audience, stands out from the crowd, and keeps listeners coming back for more. But how exactly do you build a strong podcast brand? Stick around and we'll break it down for you. The first step in building a podcast brand is crafting a compelling logo. You see, your logo isn't just a pretty image tacked onto your brand. It's an essential part of your identity. It's the visual representation of your brand's personality and values, and it's often the first thing people see when they encounter your podcast. So it's crucial to get it right. A good logo is simple, relevant, and memorable. Simplicity ensures that your logo is easily identifiable and versatile, able to be used across different mediums and sizes. Relevance means that your logo should reflect your podcast's content and target audience. Is your podcast lighthearted and fun? Then perhaps a whimsical, colorful logo would be fitting. Or maybe your podcast tackles serious topics and you need a more minimalistic and sophisticated logo. Memorability is perhaps the most important aspect of a logo. You want your logo to stick in people's minds, to be instantly recognizable. Think about some of the most famous logos in the world. They're simple, relevant, and above all, unforgettable. Now you might be thinking, I'm not a designer. How can I create a good logo? Well, there are plenty of resources out there. You can hire a professional designer or use online tools that provide customizable templates. You can even use these tools to experiment with different designs until you find one that feels right for your brand. Remember, your logo is the face of your brand, so make sure it's a face you're proud to show. Now that you have your logo, it's time to ensure consistent branding across all your platforms. This doesn't just mean slapping your logo everywhere and hoping for the best. It's about creating a cohesive and immersive experience for your audience, no matter where they encounter your brand. Imagine your brand as a story. Each platform is a different chapter, but they should all be part of the same book, carrying the same themes, tone, and visual elements. Whether it's your podcast, website, social media, or promotional materials, they should all feel like extensions of each other. So, how do you maintain this consistency? Well, it's all in the details. Firstly, consider your color palette. Colors aren't just pretty to look at. They convey emotions and can be powerful tools in storytelling. Choose a palette that represents the vibe of your brand and stick to it across all platforms. Next, typography. The style of your text can say a lot about your brand. Is it casual or formal, modern or vintage? Choose a font that matches your brand's personality and use it consistently. Then, there's the visual elements. These could be patterns, shapes, or images that become associated with your brand. Just like your logo, they should be memorable and unique to you. Use them sparingly, but intentionally to create a visual language that's unmistakably yours. But remember, consistency doesn't mean monotony. It's okay to adapt and evolve your branding to suit different platforms and audiences. The key is to keep the core elements the same while allowing for some flexibility. This way, your brand remains fresh and relevant, but still recognizable. Why is this so important? Because consistent branding builds trust and recognition. It tells your audience that you're professional, reliable, and worth their time. It makes your brand feel familiar, like a friend they can return to time and time again. So, let's recap. To achieve consistency, use the same color palette, typography, and visual elements across all platforms. Adapt and evolve your branding while keeping the core elements the same. Consistency is key in branding, so make sure your brand is instantly recognizable, no matter where your audience finds you. With a compelling logo and consistent branding, you're well on your way to building a strong podcast brand. But how do you increase brand recognition? Well, it's not as complex as it may sound. Let's start with social media. It's a powerful tool that you can use to your advantage. Create a profile for your podcast on every major social network and share clips, quotes, or behind-the-scenes content. This will not only help to increase your visibility, but also give your audience a taste of your content, enticing them to tune in for more. Next, networking. Connect with other podcasters in your niche. Guest on their shows, invite them on yours, or even collaborate on a special episode. This way, you can tap into their audience and introduce your brand to a new group of potential listeners. Now, let's talk about audience engagement. It's crucial to interact with your listeners, respond to comments, ask for feedback, and include listener shout-outs in your episodes. This not only builds a sense of community, but also makes your listeners feel valued and appreciated, encouraging them to stick around and spread the word about your podcast. But above all, the most effective strategy for increasing brand recognition is providing valuable content. You want to give your listeners a reason to come back. Make sure every episode offers something of value, whether it's an insightful interview, a unique perspective, or a solution to a problem. This will not only keep your current listeners hooked, but also attract new ones. And don't forget consistency. Just as with your branding, consistency in your content and posting schedule is key. It lets your audience know what to expect and when to expect it, which can greatly help in building a loyal listener base. Remember, building a brand doesn't happen overnight, but with a compelling logo, consistent branding, and a strong promotional strategy, you'll be well on your way to creating a podcast brand that stands out from the crowd. So, there you have it, a simple guide to building your podcast brand. We've explored the power of a compelling logo and the importance of maintaining consistency across various platforms. We've also delved into strategies to increase your brand's recognition, from engaging with your audience to leveraging social media. The journey to creating a successful podcast brand might seem daunting, but remember, every great podcast started somewhere. Now it's over to you. Go out there and create a podcast brand that you and your listeners love. Happy podcasting.